Hey y'all, I'm back for another video playing Cephalid Breakfast in a Legacy League. This list should be pretty familiar by now. It's 74 out of the 75 from my last video with only one change that I want to talk about. And that is that I used to have a split in my graveyard hate in the sideboard between 2 Fairy Macabres and 1 Surgical Extraction. And today I'm running all Macabres. And the reason for that is Fairy Macabre is uncounterable, whereas Surgical Extraction is counterable. And by now, I've just been blown out too many times with Surgical Extraction on, say, an Archon of Cruelty and Dimir Reanimator, and they have the counterspell. So I'd rather make those a dead card. Surgical is nice because it obviously has a bit more utility, and it can be used in matchups like lands a little better. Surgical Extraction on Life from the Loam feels great. But Fairy Macabre is also pretty acceptable in that matchup as well. And the downside of Surgical Extraction has just proven to be too great. Other than that, it's going to be a pretty familiar strategy. We're going to try to mill our whole deck with Cephalid Illusionist, targeted by Nomads in Core or Shuko. If we can't do that, Nadu is always the co-plan A of the deck, flipping the whole library into your hand with Nomads and burying your opponent with card advantage. It should be a fun league. Let's see how it goes. In the first round of the league, I am on the play. This player usually plays things like Doomsday or Storm. I'm happy to have the Days. It's nice to have some combo pieces. I will keep this. On the play, I think I'm just going to go Flooded Strand Go, so that if they Dark Ritual, Doomsday, and I want to counter that, I at least I'm not playing into Days myself. Alright, opponent is just playing a fetch land and saying go. I'll get a Hedge Maze. And I don't want an Narcomoeba, but I'm happy to have a clock, slow as it is. If they are playing Doomsday, maybe these points of damage will matter. So I'll get in for 1, and then I'll play my other Surveil land, and after that, it'll be up to my opponent and what they're going to do to dictate how this game will go. I would love to see a cantrip, Nomads in Core. Okay, Nomads is good. I'm going to have to hope that if it is Doomsday that this Daze slows them down in a significant way. Otherwise, they could do quite well here. Oh, it's just an Entomb deck. Well, let's see if Daze gets him. Okay, that Daze worked. Still kind of ominous, but I'm glad that they didn't get that right away. All right, another Entomb. Let's see if they have Reanimate. All right away getting an Atraxa in play. That's no good. Let's see what they reveal. Okay, main deck, Orcish Bowmasters. Well, it's looking bad. Play Nomads. At least if they want to play that Bowmaster, I can put the damage on Narcomoeba, but they have both Force and Thoughtseize, so I'm going to have to top deck something good. Yep, I'll just F6 through the rest of the turn. They're liable to take the Nadu since they see the Oracle in hand. I will still play out. Okay. Put the damage on the Narcomoeba. That was a reason not to F6, actually. And they might have sensed that I was F6 and just did that. Well, sadly I can't ponder into the Bowmaster because they kill my guy right away. So Dread Return into the bin. I'll play out the Illusionist, and then I'll say go. They just force it, sure. All right, so I take 9 this next turn and have one last draw step that probably has to be Nadu. And this time I can just F6 through their turn. I'm not going to block the Bowmaster, though it's a little tempting. All right, well that can help to keep me alive. So I'll go Thassa's Oracle. Get neither of those on top. I'll play out this land and I'll play Tamiyo. Oh, or I'll accidentally misclick Cast Ponder. It's fine, we can just concede. All right, well, a rough start to this league. I want all my graveyard hate and removal. And when I bring in that many cards, it just has to be the breakfast combo that goes. And Tamiyo's as well. I'll play for game 2. Let's hope to see a good hand with graveyard hate. This is a good hand with graveyard hate, so I'll keep. This answers a Tamiyo. This answers their most unfair stuff. This is about as good a hand as I could hope for. Ghost Vacuum is also the best graveyard hate against this deck because it's recurring. I can get it out turn 1. And there we go. So I won't be dead right away, but it still always feels like a bit of a miracle to defeat this deck. All right, so I'll fetch and ending the Tamiyo. Flooded Strand was a nice pickup because now I can get a basic. And I'll probably ponder after this. I doubt they'll daze it. And I would like to find an answer for the next Tamiyo and, of course, my own game plan. Saga, Force of Will. Yeah, really good. I think I'll put the Brainstorm on the bottom. And then Saga, and then Force. It could have been incorrect to stack it that way because they could Thoughtseize away my Force of Will, but first of all, they'd probably get the Brainstorm, and second of all, I would like to have Force of Will just in case there is anything I need in an emergency. So on a board like this that's a little stalled out, I'm happy to get the Saga going. They might Bowmaster end step. I'll Brainstorm in response if they do. Yep, so I'll Brainstorm. That other Brainstorm that I'll have will now be my blue card to pair with Force of Will. Okay, cool. So I'll go Hedge Maze on bottom and then Ponder. And if there's anything I need to force, I have Force plus Brainstorm. I think if I'm not wastelanded off the constructs here, then I won't need that Brainstorm. Let's see, this will be a very telling turn. Okay, no wasteland, that's nice. I hope they don't have a Kaito. No Kaito is great. So I'll be drawing this Ponder. And fetching away the Hedge Maze. Probably fetching for the Hedge Maze, but at least it'll clear my deck. So, Chapter 2 is online. Misty Rainforest, and I'll get to say go. Opponent is surveilling in the end step. They choose to keep the card on top. Maybe a wasteland. Cantrip, okay. Even if I just get to make one construct, that construct will be bigger than their Bowmaster, which is nice. Did not shuffle off the Ponder. Cling to Dust, interesting. They're on turn 4. Man, it's so tempting to go for this and keep them off this card. They would have to have land and Tomb Reanimate. So yeah, I can do this because their last 4 cards have to be a land and Tomb Reanimate, which means that my Force of Will get them if that's what they go for here. So I have no problem keeping them off this card, holding a Force in hand. Okay, make a construct. Surveil. Hedge Maze. Love to see Nadu. Daze, I think it's a little late for Daze. Alright, Nadu. Well, it has to be intimidating to see me not make a construct, and perhaps that is the correct assumption that something bad will happen here. I love to be holding Force of Will here. Okay, got the win. All right, on to game 3. For game 3, I'm not really going to have any sideboard changes. I just want to make sure I have their graveyard covered and then maximum answers to Tamiyo. And I think between those two things, if I'm just battling out against a Bowmaster or a Dauthi Voidwalker, I should be good. On the draw, cannot keep this hand. My opponent is mulling as well, so that feels good. Such a shame with the graveyard hate. All right, I have to keep this. I'll bottom Pithing Needle. This is not an amazing hand, but we'll see. Ponder from the opponent is as good a start as I could hope for. Depending on what I draw, I am most likely to begin with the Windswept Heath and fetch a Surveil land. Okay, I'm just going to start with this. Looking for more lands. Daze is good. Keep the Daze. Next turn, if I don't get wastelanded, I might go Shuko and Nomads, especially if they're not holding up Bowmaster. I really don't want to get Thought Seized, but at least I'll have a Daze coming and a blue card to pitch to Force of Will if that's what makes more sense. I think I am. Yep, here's Thought Seize. They're almost certainly going to take Nadu, but maybe if they have Entomb Reanimate, they just take the Force. I would love to see that with Daze coming, but of course they do take Nadu. Okay, so this turn I'm going to play the Heath, play Shuko, and say go. I want to Surveil again. Things are not going great, but at least I have the Daze, and I'm not getting wastelanded. It stinks that if I Surveil here, you know, I will just hold off. Ponder. Okay, I'll ponder. If they Bowmaster, that's okay. Yeah, that's fine. At least it's not a Brainstorm. And at least that's one less removal spell for Nomads in Core. I don't want those cards. Saga's good. I'm going to get the Saga ticking. They probably would have wastelanded me last turn if they had it. And I would like to potentially have access to Graveyard Hate as soon as possible. They're probably looking for Wasteland. Been a Thoughtseize. I think that's a good call. Probably have to force a Murktide region here, though that would feel pretty bad. But I think if the Bowmaster is the worst that they're going to end up doing, things will be okay. And I'm not getting wastelanded here, which is great. Fetching Surveil here means I can get wastelanded off of green, but I think I just need the selection. Prismatic Ending is nice, but I don't really want that right now, how things are. Another Daze. Yeah, good. Now I have Force plus Daze. And I'm not going to play out Nomads. This allows me to make a construct and play around Daze. And here comes Entomb. Well, that's going to get a Force of Will. They're incentivized to go for it now, obviously, because they know the Graveyard Hate is coming if they don't have a Wasteland. Okay. Potentially with this Ponder, that means if they try to go for it again, the Daze might get them. Awesome. The Saga will get to make its constructs. They are swinging, which to me means they probably have removal. Well, I'm going to make them use it on a construct. Yeah, that's fine. The nice thing about this too is that after this, unless they have yet another removal spell, they won't be able to push damage with the construct. It'll be 3 toughness. Swords is nice. All right, Ghost Vacuum. They were daring me, I think, to needle that Polluted Delta. I guess I put the Shuko on the construct to be correct. Well, this doesn't feel amazing. If one of their cards is a Reanimate, then that feels good, though they probably would have spent it last turn to Reanimate Nadu. Alright, so they're casting Entomb in response to Undercity Sewers, which is interesting. I guess you would cast it first and then fetch, so I guess they just want to cast this Entomb. Because if you Sewers and you keep the card and then you Entomb, obviously the card's gone. And they're just thinning their deck, so that feels good. Anytime someone is just thinning their deck with Entomb, you know you're doing all right. No attacks is great. And I'll just eat my own Nadu so I don't have to worry about that. Brainstorm. Well, now I have a reason to Swords the Bowmaster. I guess let's go to combat. Maybe they double block. No blocks. And what I'm going to do is instead of brainstorming, I'm going to play out Nomads. I'm going to put the Shuko on the Nomads, and now they really can't attack with either of these unless they deal with the Nomads. If they attack, I can block and then put the damage on the construct, and I can kill a 2/2, or I could kill a 1/1 with that. I would probably just block the Bowmaster to try to get it off the field. No attacks, great. I'll only spend the Swords on the Brainstorm if I feel that I need to. I would really like to save that for a potential Murktide Regent, because as things stand, I feel pretty under control with the board the way it is. So I'll swing with my 4/3. They go to 7. Now a line like Petty Theft, Ghost Vacuum, and Entomb Reanimate is starting to look bad. I'll play out the fetch land and I'll say go. Eventually they're going to have to start blocking that construct if they don't draw well. Wasteland, okay. They're probably going to Wasteland Hedge Maze in my upkeep if I had to guess. Let me hit Ponder. Don't think it really matters very much right now what I am hitting with my Ghost Vacuum, but if the game stalls out incredibly, then maybe doing this every turn will start to matter. I imagine they have some sort of animation spell in their hand. Okay, well. I'll re-equip. I'll go to combat, see what they do. They're probably just saving the Wasteland for a Urza Saga. All right, time to block. I like that. If they have hard cast Force of Will, I have Daze. Let's try to win this game here. I am becoming a victim of the fetch land. Yeah, so they're going to daze this in response. Yeah, that kind of sucks. Sure. No, you got me. Yeah, that's like the oldest trick in the book. I'll get a Savannah. At least the Wasteland is something I don't have to worry about anymore. And I forgot to put the Shuko on the Nomads, but I don't think that really matters since their 2/2 is gone. I'm also just 2 lands away from Ghost Vacuum Ultimate, which would be amazing. And one of the things that I think has helped me to pull ahead in this game is the patience with the Swords and Brainstorm. Like, I think that if I was less patient, many turns ago I would have Swords the Bowmasters and then Brainstorm, but who knows what I would have gotten off of that. Now I have something if they have a scarier creature like a Barrow-Goyf or a Murktide Regent. And the 4/3 has just pushed so much damage onto their life total that after one more turn of swinging, they're going to have to chump with the Bowmaster. My opponent has put Reanimate into the graveyard, which I think is the correct decision, given that I have a Ghost Vacuum. They spent a lot of time thinking about it, though. And I'll just get rid of the Nadu again. I don't really want to have to think about them getting a Nadu. Alright, so this turn, I think I equip the Nomads and swing with both. If they choose to block the Nomads, I put the damage on the Construct. This looks like a Petty Theft. Petty Theft the Construct. That's pretty good because now they can block the Nomads. And I think I'm fine with that trade, actually. That leaves both the Swords in my hand and I get to Brainstorm. So this is totally fine to me. I know I don't have a clock anymore, but being able to Brainstorm is a nice consolation for that. I think I'm done with this Daze, and I think I'd rather have Swords than Prismatic Ending at this point, and I'll just keep the Macabre in case. No, I don't need the Macabre. That might come back to haunt me, but I want maximum removal. They're going to start to have this Brazen Borrower. They would have to have yet another Brazen Borrower plus Entomb and Reanimate. So I think they're so far away from being able to animate something. Thoughtseize, sure. I'm going to lose a Swords, I'm sure. And this turn, I will vacuum up my Nomads. Fetch. Tropical. A land would be amazing. I'd be sad not to have that Macabre anymore, but they only have 1 card in hand. Alright, well, no Ghost Vacuum Ultimate, but I'll probably take 3 off of the Brazen Borrower and attempt to Prismatic Ending it. I really want to save the Swords for a bigger threat, and I can afford to take 3 here, I think. Yes, I will take 3. Brainstorm, sure. I can also Ghost Vacuum this Bowmasters. That would be really cool. That can just ping down the Borrower immediately if I have a land. This is real close. Maybe I should have Swords that Bowmaster a while back, but I'm happy to have these cards in my hand. Alright, Daze, pretty bad draw. They're going to be pretty happy that this is just Prismatic Ending when they see how I tap my mana. Alright, my opponent has 1 card, I have 3. One of them is pretty bad with Daze. Bowmaster, okay. Yeah, I think I have to swords that because this just pushes too much damage too quickly. So I'll swords this. I'm on a 4-turn clock. I may even have to ending that. So yeah, this is going down to the wire. Map 3. Show me a land. Force of Will. Well, this stinks, but at least I have Force of Will for like a Murktide or something like that. So, feeling all right. That was a great Bowmaster though, with my life total so low. Opponent is passing. Land. Macabre, okay, that's okay. But I would love a land. If I get wastelanded before I get to the 6th land, that's going to feel bad. Guess I need to start or continue getting cards out of the opponent's graveyard. I'll just take Reanimate. Brainstorm. Well, I have Force in case they have Bowmaster. Oh my god. Come on. I'll just put the Dazes back. Ponder. A land. Sure. Okay. Well, I should have kept a Daze in hand. That was a mistake. My opponent is passing. I'll redraw a Daze. If they have Petty Theft and do it in response to me fetching, they should have done it already, but now I have the blue card. So this feels good here. Ghost Vacuum Ultimate. Now I ping them. Oh, I have to choose which Nadu to keep. I only get to keep one. Ping them. Just start drawing an incredible number of cards. And all right, GG. Wow. What a start to this league. Very strong opponent playing the best deck. And I got there at the end by ultimating my Ghost Vacuum. Awesome. I'm on the draw for game 2 with a perfectly acceptable hand. I hope I don't die to something turn 1, but even if I get Thought Seized, there's not really a great single card they can take. So this is a nice place to be. My opponent has kept 7. Let's see what's going on. All right, Polluted Delta. No play. Interesting. I would love a Daze off the top. No Daze. So, I think I go Island Ponder because I need to find some actual action in case they entomb. And I don't want to play the Tamiyo without some sort of cantrip backup. I certainly don't want to tap out with a Plains for Nomads in core because that's very shields down. So let's ponder, see what's up. My opponent is fetching in response to my ponder. They could entomb right now. Okay, Thundering Falls. So no entomb, that's nice. Are they dazing this? No daze. I already have all those cards, so this is a shuffle. And I was rewarded with Urza Saga. Likely next turn will be Cavern on Wizard and then play Tamiyo. Let's see what this is though. This could be Delver. This could be Show and Tell, like Sneak and Show. No play here really does make me think Sneak and Show. Because if this was a tempo deck, they would just have played something by now. I'm going to play Nomads. This means that if they play Show and Tell, I can put in Nadu. And this is better than an Atraxa. This is better than an Emrakul. I'm even tempted to play Tamiyo for even more value. But I think I'll hold off because I might still want to brainstorm in response to a Show and Tell and try to counter it. Because if they don't remove this, I'm getting my Nadu next turn. There's no question about that. This is really reeking of Show and Tell. I think that the end step brainstorm means they want to maximize their mana next turn. Maybe playing into a Daze. Let's see. It's nice they didn't have an Ancient Tomb. Okay, maybe it is a tempo deck. Quarry Steelcutter, sure. Let's hope this isn't a Bolt. If this is a Bolt, I'm going to feel pretty bad I didn't play Tamiyo. Okay, Basic Island. I'm not getting bolted at least. And they are going for maximum prowess, I sense. I bet they play another cantrip off of this. Maybe not. Well, I'm very glad to see that they fetched Basic Island. I mean, there's no way I wasn't going to Nadu next turn, but I'm feeling pretty secure about this game. I don't think there's anything they can have here, minus like a Dismember, which is incredibly doubtful. Force of Will, nice pickup. I sense this is going to be the game right now. Cavern of Souls is such an amazing card in this deck. You're casting an Emergency Brainstorm. I do wonder if they're... Okay, cool. I guess they just wanted to see the top cards of their library before scooping. Against Izzet Tempo, Izzet Delver, I want all of these cards, and I'm actually fine running 61. Just get out the counter spells. I've tried going without the breakfast combo, but it feels pretty all in on Nadu. And I think what you want to do in this matchup in sideboard games is make them run out of Pyroblasts. So if they have to Pyroblast your Cephalid Illusionist and then you can Nadu next turn, or Tamiyo or something, that's going to be a lot better than letting them sit back and wait. On the draw with a turn 2, but no blue source. I'm on the draw. I have white spells to cast. Man, I might regret this, but I'm going to keep. This is susceptible to Wasteland. Well, I guess they kept a pretty rough hand. And I immediately drew the Flooded Strand. My goodness, what skilled gaming. I'll fetch a Basic Island and cast Ponder. Yes, these are all amazing cards. Not sure it really matters what order. I'll be drawing all of them. I'm not going to Saga next turn. I'll probably be going Cavern Tamiyo next turn. So I'll do this. If they surgical something, I want the Tamiyo in hand. I wonder if they don't have colored mana. Starting on Wasteland Go is about as weak as I could possibly imagine. They must have like double Wasteland, my goodness. I'm expecting they have lots of counter spells and graveyard hate, and I think that the Tamiyo line is going to punish that to the max. So I'm going to Cavern on Wizard. I'm going to play Shuko around Daze. I think it's, well, what am I saying? They don't have Daze. They might have Daze, but it doesn't matter. They're Wastelanding this. I'm going to float blue Wizard mana. and cast Tamiyo. Next turn, I would love to play the Saga, but if the Wasteland is untapped, then I won't be able to actually use it. That still might be better than exposing the Savannah. I'm not sure if this player will know that they can do that and make me not able to tap the Izzet Saga, but they also seem to be wastelanding very aggressively, so they might just do it anyway. I think it's still worth it. I want the Savannah to stick around. I don't need the Saga, so here we go. They should wasteland right now. Yep. That's fine. I'll crack the clue next turn, and then I'll have all my colors. So I didn't really need that Izzet Saga. I'm happy to see. Ooh, do they not have a land here? They have 8 cards and they just scoop it up. So yeah, you can't keep a hand that doesn't have any colored mana if you're a tempo deck like that. And my deck is not so all in. Like maybe if this was oops all spells, maybe. But you have to have that because that just trapped all the good cards in their hand, and Caedyrn was the worst possible punishment for that. So I was definitely going to start drawing a lot of cards off this Tamiyo, another Caedyrn, and Shuko. I would have seen both those cards next turn. So anyway, GG. I'm on the draw in match number 3. I played this player very recently, and they were a tempo list that had Stifle. I don't love this hand with Dread Return in it, but I like Nomads and Cephalid. I like Swords, and hopefully Stifle doesn't become a huge issue. I'm glad I have at least one land that is not stifleable. They could stifle the Surveil, but that seems like a bad play. And I'm going to start on the Misty. If they're going to try to stifle me, then I'm going to punish that by making them, basically by porting them for as long as I can. It was nice hitting that basic island, but if they want to play games, I will play games with them. I'll even play another fetch land out. As long as I'm making land drops, I think that this Stifle game favors me. And there's nothing I'm too worried about deploying right away. If I do want to fetch in a way that plays around Stifle, I'll fetch the Misty first, and they might Stifle that, and then in response I can get this card going. I could have maybe done that there so they didn't get the Surveil land, but it's okay. Alright, I'm going to fetch this Misty. Let's see what they do. Probably getting stifled. Okay, they let me get it, so I'll crack this for a hedge maze. Maybe they don't have Stifle. Oh yes, I do want Nadu. Okay, so I'm going to play... how should I play this? I want to Swords this thing. And I want to do it in a way where they know that my mana is online. So I want to go Meticulous Archive. I wouldn't mind seeing another land. Yeah, Tundra. So I guess I won't even fetch because I like the card on top. It would be a fun game to play against a Stifler, to keep a card on top and then fetch. They really have to think about, is that the time to Stifle? But I'm happy that next turn I'll be getting Nomad, or rather Nadu backed up by Force of Will, is what it's looking like. Still not loving the Dread Return in hand, but it's all good. They could also Wasteland me here. They could still try to fight me on the axis of mana, but getting Tundra next turn means I'll just go for Swords on this right away. Another Channeler. Okay. Now, I do want to fetch here, because I want to know if they intend to stifle me or what. Yeah, see, they want to play games. That's fine. This is only going to punish me if they have a wasteland for my green next turn, so... My patience is a little punished, though, because they are getting all these surveils. I could have swords in response, but it's fine. I'm going to go swords on this. And I'll go ahead and play out nomads. Playing out the nomads does extra incentivize them to wasteland green, but it doesn't look like that's what's happening. Okay, Quarry Steelcutter is fine. Of course, they would sequence it like this so that they could bolt next. Bolt. 2 cards left in hand. Let's see what they surveil. They've already played their land. I think I'm going to try to force this. If they force back, then I get Nadu next turn. They'd be wise to not force back, even though it would push damage. Okay, my opponent is brainstorming in response. Okay, well I don't love that, but at least we're getting all these spells out of the way this turn. It's going to be hard for them to double spell. They still don't have Delirium on the Channeler after all of that surveilling. They're going to have 2 cards in hand. They're looking for Force. They would have no cards left in hand after that. They'd be kind of out of gas, and Nadu as a 3/4 I would shut down their board. I don't love my position, but if they brick here, then this might be okay. My opponent offers the trade of Dragon's Rage Channeler. My best top deck is Daze. I would love to see that. But I'm feeling good about my chances. I think they wanted to push damage there. I'll play this Trop out and just see if I won the game or not. Let's see. If they force, then they're probably going to win. Okay. Well, that's rough. That resolves. And now I think I look pretty foolish, because if I had let them bolt and then I got to play Nadu with Force backup, then we'd have the same board right here, except I would have a Nadu. Alright, they equip the Channeler. Guess they don't have anything better to spend their mana on. Brainstorm, great. Alright, so I can ending. I think I'm going to put these cards back. I'll go ahead and ending this now. And, man, I'll ponder first. That's a shuffle. Another ponder. I'm just going to ending the Channeler. I know the Cutter is pretty threatening as well, but I would much rather not have the Channeler on board. Okay, equipping. Wasteland is pretty good. I'm glad to have that Dread return out of my hand, because now Cephalid Illusionist is a good draw. Narcomoeba is not a good draw. Cast Ponder. Nadu, okay. Cool. So, I am going to stack like that. Next turn I have Nadu backed by Force of Will. I don't know what one card my opponent has left, but my Force will answer it. And the biggest thing I think I have to worry about here is a double spell. Tamiyo, okay, that's not too concerning. Do you have another spell? They might just equip here. Bolt. Okay. So let's see. So they're going to get 3/3. And then this is just going to be a 2/2. And they're going to have another 2/2. So I'm going to take 4. This is just, I have to do it. It's too good to untap with Nadu, with them being hellbent. I can't say I've played this game great, but okay, so that was good for them. They're gonna push 1 less damage, but now they have a clue. And I think that was smart because that gives them a chance to double spell next turn, so good play. Let's see. Maybe I can get them just scoop to this. I would love to draw Cephalid. I know I have an Urza Saga coming first. Cavern, named Wizard. Swords, that's nice. And Illusionist. All right, I win. So I'll start milling my deck, and I'm just going to do it all. So you see how I'm getting 2 triggers there? They're scooping here. But if you know that you're going to win the game, like against a Hellbent opponent, and you have a Nadu trigger and a Cephalid mill trigger, because you're doing nomads at instant speed, what you do is you stack the triggers and keep milling. So you will only get 2 Nadu triggers and then you mill the rest. And the reason why you want to do that is with an empty library, the Nadu flips don't hurt you, right? But what if this first flip is Thassa's Oracle or Dread Return? Well, now they get a turn. And that's really backbreaking. So if you absolutely know for sure that you're going to win, then stack it like that in this situation. All right, in sideboarding, I know this is a little bit different of a build than what I just faced. Nevertheless, I want the same sideboard plan, so I'll run 61. I'll bring in all these cards, and I'll take out the forces and the dazes. Hopefully my mana will be secure enough that I can play the game well. And if that's the case, then I'll feel good. Now, Stifle is a very dangerous card to have when you're trying to mill yourself to win the game. So I'm going to have to be very sensitive to that and really only do the breakfast combo if I sense that they don't have that. I really would like to see a bit of a flooded hand, honestly, at first, because I want them to stifle fetch lands that aren't important. That would be the best thing, or stifling an Urza Saga trigger that's not important. That's going to be how I play around Stifle ideally, is just have things that really aren't super necessary to my plan getting stifled. All right, on the draw with a hand that is really good. Only 1 fetch land. I can get both of my basics. I have Nadu, I have Caedyrn, so if they kill my nomads, I might finally get to have a good showing on the channel for Caedyrn. Let's see. Even if it just hits a daze, like if they blow their daze on this and they don't have a daze for Nadu, that's pretty good, right? So let's see. Oh boy, we're playing games from the very beginning. So I will play the fetch land first. Actually, now that I have a 1-drop that I can cast off the basic island, I'll just do that. This will keep their channelers small. They might even be tempted to daze this. That would be amazing if they dazed it, which they didn't. But now between Ghost Vacuum and Caedyrn, they're not going to have any graveyard. This is going to get out of hand quickly, I think. Surveil, turn 1. Pretty nice. It's nice to be able to fetch and not be too concerned. Nice to see them bidding a Wasteland. Ponder, okay. Maybe they'll pass without holding up Stifle. That would be nice. Stifle is obviously not a great card overall. It's kind of a gotcha card, and it's one that goes in and out of fashion every now and then. It is really annoying to play against. I hate how I have to play games just to have my mana online. Ooh, Brainstorm is nice. Put back that Oracle. Let's try to get this Caedyrn going. If they wasteland me, I do have another land. I can Brainstorm. If this eats a Daze, that's great. It doesn't. So between these two cards, they're really not going to have a graveyard. Maybe next turn they'll tap out for a Cutter. Okay, they're fetching their upkeep. They did know about their card because they pondered last turn. Ponder again. So now they have to have Graveyard Hate, otherwise Nomads is basically an uncounterable card. If they do have a Channeler and they bin creatures, that's going to be great for me. Okay, Bobble. Looks like they don't have any threats, which does unfortunately make Stifle quite likely. So I'd be so happy to draw another land. Ghost back this. Caedyrn this. They're never going to have Delirium, which means Unholy Heat will not be live. They're never going to be able to Murktide any more than probably a 3/3. Maybe a 4/4 if they can cast a spell without passing priority. Alright, I'm going to cast Brainstorm now. See if they daze it. I don't mind if they daze this, really. Pyroblast, that's fine. Fetch Plains around Stifle. Play my pseudo uncounterable Nomads. Best draw is definitely Cavern of Souls. But I can answer one of their cards with Prismatic Ending. They're not really threatening anything. Unholy Heat the Nomads, yeah, totally fine. Get rid of their heat. Get rid of the Pyroblast. Love a land here. Cephalid Illusionist. I'm just going to hold it. I feel favored from this position. The worst thing they could have is a Cutter. I do have Prismatic Ending, admittedly playing into Daze, but having some answer is good. If they have a Channeler, that's great. I'd still end the Channeler, even though it might feel like I have Channeler covered. It still provides so much value. So we'll get rid of Ponder. Get rid of Bobble. Meltdown would be a bit tragic. Ponder, okay. Are you Pyroblasting my cantrip again? Yes, they are. Now, this is not going to pay off for them. I'll be very sad if it does, but I'm eventually going to draw the lands. You have no threat. Here's your Cutter, okay. Do you have a spell right now? Brainstorm, okay. So they finally have something on board. A land would be really nice. I think, given that they're nearly hellbent, if I don't draw the land especially, I'm just going to Prismatic End the Monk. It sucks that the Cutter would still be around, but it's not pushing damage. Illusionist. Yeah, so let's just end this. And I'm just going to hope that between the cards that they have that it's going to be tough for them to double spell. If they do, it's just one Monk. And so really the later the game goes, when you cast Quarry Steel Cutter, the much worse that it is. And already it's in that phase of the game. Ooh, another Cutter. That might start to get a little out of hand. And bolting me, sure. Okay, well that's going to push a bit of damage for sure. Now, if I do get them hellbent, I have the line of making my illusionist into a nomads in core, which is conveniently, as you'll see, still in my graveyard. And that will demand a bit of respect. Okay, yep. So I'll play the Saga. If they don't wasteland, then my Saga will soon be bigger than their monks. I'm going to hold up that Caedyrn play. I don't really want to make it. Okay. Alright, I'll take the damage. They probably don't have a spell they want to cast this turn unless... Well, maybe they're gonna... Okay, they're bolting this. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so I go to 4. So it's pretty crucial now, actually, that I get another creature in play. The double cutter situation was really rough. Just get another wasteland out. Obviously, the graveyard hit was not going to be enough to win the game on its own, but ugh. I have just been bricking on lands. Milled over a cavern and a... Okay. So I'll play the illusionist. This at least will get to trade. Provided they don't have an instant. But it's a forced play no matter what. I'll block here. See if they do anything. I will get that illusionist. Put it on that. I have to mill 3. And those trade. So I'm at 2. Feels pretty rough. If I could just get a land, that would be so nice. Well, at least I can Thassa's Oracle. Thassa's Oracle can block this pretty well, actually. Flooded Strand. That would put me to 1. That's fine. And I'll play out the Shuko. Shuko doesn't really matter here. So I'm dead to a double spell. And with their 3 cards, that's probably pretty accomplishable. Let's see what happens. Okay, equipping. Go to blocks. I definitely would prefer that this not die, and the Caedyrn will allow for that. Okay, Unholy Heat, so this goes to 4, so they definitely will die. But I can soak up a damage by hitting this, and I need to do that because this thing has trample. So sadly, we don't trade. But I need to stay alive for... Oh, I guess I did math wrong. Yeah, I guess that's how trample works. Yeah, because of the extra damage. Oops. All right. So I don't think I want to make any changes. Let's just hope to draw lands. We'll be good. Cool. I have lands. I'll keep. Maybe this is foolish, but I'm just going to start off with the Hedge Maze. Basic Plains, good. I think as long as I have lands to cast my spells, things are going to be great. Wasteland me here would be totally fine. Channeler, sure. Tundra, Plow. Hopefully that was their threat. They could Cutter, double spell right away. Tamiyo. Yeah, that's pretty good follow-up. Narcomoeba, not what I wanted. Alright, well, I'll have to surveil. Sadly, if that gets wasteland, or if they wasteland me off the hedge maze, then I can't surveil. It's actually looking pretty bad here. Best card in the deck is Brainstorm. I think I just leave the Flooded Strand uncracked. Another land. Huh. Play it out. Well, I said I wanted lands. I guess that's how it goes sometimes. So they're going to get to draw a lot of cards here. They might want to flip their Tamiyo next turn. That's totally cool. Honestly, I don't want them to be drawing 2 cards a turn forever. And even though I have a bunch of 1-power creatures in my hand, I think I could handle the Planeswalker Tamiyo. I'm sure they would very aggressively defend it. Ponder, yep. So they do want to keep the clues going because they could have cracked one on end step. Get archive. No, I do not want another land, my goodness. Nomads. I think we're in the realm of just playing out Narcomoebas. And as bad a play as that feels, it's not horrible because it's going to mean that they have to have counter spells to finish me here. Removal will no longer work because if they bolt my nomads, I put the damage on a Narcomoeba. And I can do that twice. Of course, if I have to do it twice, I can't combo, but I don't know. Maybe this can work out. Maybe I'll get to go nomads and then I top deck a Nadu and the Nadu somehow magically resolves. This looks pretty rough. Best scenario, I think, would be that I get to ending the Tamiyo and they force to protect it. Brainstorm would be nice. My own Tamiyo. Want to Pyroblast this? I'll play out the Nomads. Brainstorm in response. I'll hold the Illusionist one more turn. What would be amazing is if I drew Nadu next turn. Okay. That was disciplined of them to not go after the Tamiyo with a Pyroblast. Cutter, sure. Yeah, I'm not afraid of your Cutter clock. I'm afraid of your Tamiyo, so this is all totally fine. They are bolting Tamiyo. Yep. That's fine. Would you care to bolt something else and tap out? Bobble, sure. So I have to go for it next turn, and they're very, very likely to just win. Because I don't think you tick this all the way up unless Unless you have what you need in your hand. Ponder, okay. Maybe they Pyroblast the Ponder. Cavern of Souls and Nadu. And Prismatic Ending. Wow. What if that was a Brainstorm? Alright, so I think the safest play is to get the ending and try to end the Tamiyo. They might force to protect that. And then if they do, maybe the Illusionist resolves. If I get the Cavern, I definitely get the Illusionist, and then Pyroblast is dead. But anything else like a Force is totally live. Stifle. I think I like the ending here because this involves the fewest possible things on their end that they could have. So let's go for it. If this resolves, I will not play Illusionist. They're thinking really hard about a Force, I think. Maybe I should have just played on my land. Oh my goodness. All right, well that is a huge load off. So now what I have to do is keep this Nomads around for 2 turns until I can Cavern and Nadu. And I'm not going to play out the Illusionist because I want all of those cards, and I don't want that to say resolve, but then they mill my Nadu. So here comes another cutter. They might be able to do a ton of damage to me in a quick succession, and that would stink. Okay. Whew. So this turn they're going to do minimum 7 damage. The best case scenario is that they go incredibly aggro and tap out. Cage. Oof. Yeah, that's good. So this puts me down to 6. They have 4 cards in hand. I know I'm getting a Cavern next turn, but I'm dead to like any spell. That Cage was real clutch because now they don't have to worry about the Illusionist. I think I'm going to cast it. Well, that resolved. I just don't have the luxury. I have to go for Nadu. Yeah. Maybe, just maybe, what this means is that they'll run out of spells next turn. Like, at least they blew a prowess trigger on my turn. But it looks pretty bad here. And I know I don't want the top card of my deck, so I'm definitely at 5 life. Surgical my Nadu. Yeah. Well, now I don't have to fetch. That's 1 more life. But now they have even more guys. Pretty good. Yeah, these cutter decks, they can get out of hand. So this one's not looking great. If I somehow manage to top deck Oracle and survive, that would be great. Some Murktide, that's no concern. Sure. I think any spell kills me. And they can crack the clue. Surgical, double spell, sure. GG. Alright, I'm on the play in match number 4 against Eli, Goblins player. And this hand's kind of unexciting. The ending is okay. The double Shuko means Saga doesn't get anything, and this would be nice to surveil. I'm gonna mulligan this. This also sucks, but I don't want to go to 5. So I'll keep this, I'll bottom Illusionist, and I'm gonna go Trop, and I'll go ahead and play out the Tamiyo rather than hold up Brainstorm. They might wasteland me, and if they do, that's totally fine. Cavern, okay. If they go Lackey, an interesting line is I can just Brainstorm the Tamiyo, get a clue, Brainstorm, and then plussing it would give this 0 power, which as far as I could tell means that they would not get a trigger off of it. That's got to be a pretty tilting thing to exist for Goblins players. Alright, please show me a fetch land. Oh no. Oh, that sucks. Well, at least I get to flip this Tamiyo. This is sad. And Dread Return was in that hand. Oh, God. Now, if they have Wasteland, it's just so obvious. I'll try to draw through it if I'm given the time. Porting me is totally fine. And maybe I get to just uptick this Tamiyo to an ultimate. Like, as weird as it sounds, like I'm kind of winning right now. Any sort of pressure on Tamiyo is really good. I'm not getting wastelanded. Now, unfortunately, they can port me in my upkeep, which means I would still have to draw that last Dread Return. I think if it comes to that, I'm gonna just not Brainstorm. Let's see, though. Let's see what this play is. Could be a Matron. At some point, though, if something with more than 1 power isn't put on the board, this game's gonna end. Alright, I'm not getting ported. That's great. Bomba, okay. Yeah, so that's going to put some good pressure on Tamiyo. Not enough to kill it, but we'll put it pretty low. And now I get to Brainstorm again. Brainstorming into a Swords would be great. Okay, not actually killing the Tamiyo or removing the Tamiyo. Oh, man, this is getting rough here. I can combo next turn, so that's cool. No blue card for the Force of Will. Sure, whatever they would cast that would matter would be like an expert, though. I really hope they tap that port. What I'm hoping for here is some sort of tap out situation designed to kill my Tamiyo. This would be a really good showcase of the distraction factor of Tamiyo when you're threatening something even more powerful. Expert. Okay, that's fine. So that's going to hit Tamiyo. And then Bomba will hit it down to 3. Yep, cool. Do you have another land? No other land, all right. Well, let's see if I can just win the game. That was a struggle. That brainstorm was terrible. That keep was honestly pretty suspicious, but Tamiyo is really good in this matchup. I think this is, well, it's not the first time I've played against Goblins with this exact breakfast deck, more or less, but man, Tamiyo actually was quite good there. Well, what do I do against Goblins? I think removal spells, extra land, and needle sound good. Eli says, Tamiyo too broken versus Gabo is just a ludicrous card. I'm just going to respond, yes. I think we saw that there. Caedyrn is interesting because there'll be a lot of +1/+1 counters to be had. I think I'll go up a Tamiyo just based on how this is going. I'm sure a Cavern will be something that he has access to. So maybe I'm supposed to go down on my counter spells. You got to hand it to Eli for sticking out with Goblins for years. And, you know, there's lots of cards that have come and gone and sort of power crept the format and this strategy specifically. But, you know, if you're just so razor sharp on your lines, then you can overcome that. And, man, I think that Eli is definitely like one of the best players that I've gotten to play against, and it's always fun. I definitely learned a lot just watching his channel. I've never really been a good Goblins player, but he's just such a good Magic player. You know, if you've never watched Eli's Goblin Lackey 1 streams or YouTube videos, it's I think well worth your while. Well, he can hit me with this Lackey. I think that's the plan. Because if he has Expert, then he just kills my Nomads anyway and I get nothing. If we trade, I'm kind of, that's the best case scenario. I would probably have to take that trade. I'm just going to hope that post board, usually the Lackey doesn't hit as hard after sideboarding. So I'm going to go Island Ponder. Ending, Saga, another Nadu. Great. Well, let's see what this Lackey puts in. Trashmaster. Okay. See, that could have been much worse. I'm not really planning on having a whole bunch of artifacts. Wasteland's really good there. Yeah, that is good. I think I go ending on Lackey. I get Wastelanded. But that slows down the clock. I have more lands coming. If the Saga does become important, it's one more artifact I'll get to keep around. So if they're just beating me for 3, if I only get wastelanded one time, it won't be too bad. Next turn, I'm liable to play out the Illusionist. Another Lackey, sure. Every turn the Lackey gets a little worse, so. Nadu. Nadu with Shuko isn't great here. But at least I have something on board. This could turn into like a Maze of Ith kind of game. By Maze of Ith, of course, I mean the activated ability of Cephalid Illusionist. No, I'm not going to chump your Lackey, so put in another thing. Expert, sure. And I milled over Thassa's Oracle, Tamiyo, Ponder. Okay, am I getting wastelanded again? No, no wasteland. Another one of those, okay. 3 Nadus, man. Guess I'm playing one out. Rather than making constructs that they can just kill. Well, there he is. It's also tempting if this Saga gets to pop to Needle Trashmaster, but, well, it won't pop, so. Maybe they wasteland, maybe they like Pyroblast, wasteland Cavern. Wastelanding the Saga, sure. Do you get to attack through my Nadu? No attacks, okay. Yeah, Nadu's a nice wall ending. All right, well, I don't have many plays. Just play out the Illusionist and pass the turn. Okay, now they have access to 2 drops. They could rather expert the Illusionist. Chalice on 1. Yeah, I have Prismatic Ending for that if I draw a white source, but that will slow me down for sure. It's still Tamiyo. Oof, white card. Not what I was looking for. At least we're a bit stalled out here. Nadu as a 3/4 is just the funniest dimension of that card. And it comes up not infrequently, like in this game, where just having that 4 toughness means that even this big, beefy Trashmaster can't swing. All right, Pyrokinesis into a card I can't cast. And now I have to take 8. Yeah, I'm not going to chump. Sorry, that's 7. I don't know how to do math. Well, if I don't draw a land, I'm dead. Okay. I am dead. All right, game 3. I don't think I want to make any changes. Chalice on 1 is interesting, especially in a Rishadan Port build, because I haven't seen Ancient Tomb. Ancient Tomb obviously would power up that Chalice pretty significantly. All right, on the play with a nice keepable hand. Got the basics, got a removal spell so that Lackey's not hitting. I think he's much less likely to go for that play once he's on the draw, if I understand Goblins. No, those are not cards I want. Well, we're good on brainstorms. Hopefully that matters. If this is a... Yep, Lackey. I think I'm just going to Swords it, and I'll brainstorm at a later time. Land a good pickup. I always like to slow roll the swords whenever there's a Goblin Lackey. Make them click to attack. Yeah, I'll swords it. Chalice? That's really good. I'll brainstorm in response. Hopefully I find... Oh no. Oh no. Alright, well I'll play Oracle. I'll clear the crappy cards off my deck. Looking for Prismatic Ending. Nope, don't want those cards. Nadu is still good. Feel pretty unfavored here. War Chief, cool. So this is a super vintage list. Another 1-drop, great. Let's play out Cephalid. Well, this is not how I wanted to play this game, but that Illusionist could come in handy. They could just have a Pyrokinesis here. It'd be worth the 2 cards out of their hand. As soon as I find one of my 4 Prismatic Endings, this game is live again. If this is yet another Chalice. Yeah, Matron. And then probably getting Bomba. Broadside Bombardiers is what he got. Yep. Well, at least that didn't go to face, and I milled over two Nadus. God. I guess I missed the block there, so... Misty, okay. I'll play out another Illusionist. And I milled over the Prismatic Ending. That was a terrible mill. Ringleader, they get more cards. Impulsive Pilferer. Cool, and another War Chief. So they can cast that, but they're not. Probably holding up a Pyroblast then. I guess I block here. I guess I block here. Because if they then want to shoot this, this thing does more damage. So just wastes a little bit of broadside damage. Yep, and I lose cards I'm not super interested in. Yep, that's fine. This thing dies. Just looking for one card only here, I think, and that's Prismatic Ending. No, I do not want to brainstorm. That Chalice on 1 is really good. Oh. Well, I'm very unlikely to pull anything off here. I think this was when I needed a good top deck, so let's see what they do. You can probably just kill me. War Chief, so that's at least 6 damage. I block 1, that's 4 damage. They shoot it at me, I'm at 1, just on board. If they play out that other 1-drop, I should be dead. Skirk, yeah, but they get the Chalice trigger, but they obviously used Cavernous Souls. Actually, that explains why they didn't cast this thing last turn. It wasn't necessarily Pyroblast, which would have been turned off because of the Chalice, so... Alright, I don't think there's any way I survive. Yeah, I go to 5, they hit me. Yeah, GG. All right, I'm on the play in the last round with a pretty nice hand. I'll start with the Tamiyo. I'll go basic island Tamiyo. My opponent is on a mold of 6. And my opponent is passing the turn, holding up Polluted Delta. Make a clue. I'll play the Tundra and I'll say go. I'm not going to cast Ponder. I'm not going to draw a card. If they entomb, I can daze it and maybe draw a card, but they are just surveilling. Always a relief. Basic Swamp. And my opponent is passing the turn. And I'll draw on end step. Another land is not bad, especially a green source. I'll get to make another clue, most likely here. They could have Bowmaster. I can daze that. And I'll go ahead and play out the Ponder. See what happens, if anything. Okay, I like that. So, I'll draw the plains, play around Thoughtseize. I'll play the plains. And I'll cast the Nomads. I tap the Tundra because I don't want them to be able to wasteland me in their first main phase and then go to their second main phase and resolve something without me getting to play around days. Tainted Indulgence. Draw 2 cards, then discard a card unless there are 5 or more cards among cards in your graveyard. That's fine. I don't want to have to daze something this turn because I want to have Nadu next turn playing around daze. And if I pick up a land, I will only have 3 lands in turn. Dark Ritual in the bin. Okay, so this is some sort of combo deck. Thoughtseize me, that's fine, unless I'm dead because of it, but don't really have too much to say. They probably take the daze because I already have Nomads. They're not going to take the Tamiyo unless they're planning on killing this Tamiyo right now. Okay, they took the Tamiyo. Weird. Yeah, okay. Well, that makes a grain of sense. Force of Will means they'll have 2 cards. If they intend to push my Nomads with force backup, well, they would just force the Nadu, but if they push this, then it's played into daze. Let's see if they'll let me get another clue here. Go ahead and attack with both. Yep. All right. Show me the Force of Will. Even if they force, I have another one next turn. Provided I don't get wastelanded. Okay. Well, this game should be over here. Not the best flips, but I'm going to get so many of them that shouldn't really matter. Force of Will is very nice in this situation. Illusionist, great. I'll play out another Nomads first. Illusionist isn't that great when I have Oracle in hand, and plus, why bother with that when I'm up by so much? Like, why risk whatever it is they can have. I'm actually going to leave the Oracle in hand because they've demonstrated their willingness to reanimate stuff, and I do want to have an Oracle win as a line that I have. All right, my opponent concedes. So some sort of Reanimator with Tainted Indulgence. I guess I'll do my typical Reanimator board. All the graveyard hate, all the removal. Just get rid of the breakfast cards and Tamios. Alright, this hand does not have graveyard hate, but it's certainly a keep. I have an answer for Tamio. I can find more good stuff, and I already have the combo assembled. And if they Thoughtseize me, I at least get to keep a Nadu. Thoughtseize right away. I maybe should have brought in Force of Negations against this deck. They did have Dark Ritual, so this is like a more all-in Reanimator build. This boarding makes sense if they have Witherbloom. Hedge Maze, alright. Well, I have my third land for Nadu. Even though I don't think this is a Wasteland deck, it feels kind of free to play around it. Let's see how I feel about that on the end step. Consider. I guess this is a Doomsday deck with Reanimate. Well, my boarding is bad. Hopefully I will get a turn to dig for Force of Will or Daze. Okay, one land from the opponent. So now I'm very positive this is not a Wasteland deck. Saga is good. Saga is really nice because that's going to allow me to pressure their life total if they're going to cast Doomsday. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now instead of Brainstorm. And if I really feel like it, I can Brainstorm on end step. I'm holding a Plow, which is nice. Typically, I like to get a second land going prior to Urza Saga, like a second blue source or something, so that if I do want to Daze, it doesn't take me off of constructs. But I definitely don't want to waste time in this match. I will Brainstorm here because I mostly like my hand. I'm not going to have the opportunity to do it next turn. I don't really like those cards. I'll put back these. Alright, so definitely making a construct here. I won't get to Surveil, but that's fine. If they're going to Doomsday, these constructs are going to hurt them real bad. And that's pretty much what I'm playing to now. I probably won't even cast Nadu next turn. Just make another construct and Shuko. So my opponent is struggling on mana. They likely have Doomsday in hand. Another land is great. Get a Shuko. Equip Shuko. Play the land now. Attack for 4. And I will Ponder off a Tundra. Since I don't have any forces right now, even though this will mean I have to play into Daze, it's not like I had anything to interact anyway. Okay, there's Force of Will. I'll draw it. Now if they Doomsday, they have to win right away because of the constructs. They can't pass the turn on 6 life facing this down, so this is looking like a win. Alright, I'm getting a turn. Surely they have Force of Will. So I won't protect the Nadu, I'll just keep holding it up. Really, I just have to protect the constructs. Like, I will force a removal spell here. Okay, there it's 6. I know I have a Flooded Strand on top of the deck, so I'll start with Brainstorm. Okay, put back ending and one plow. You know, I'm not going to Nadu. There's no point. I'm just going to ponder, look for more forces. Just don't let them resolve anything. Shuffle. Ponder again. Shuffle. There we go. All right, this looks really good. It definitely would have been more fun to Nadu, but sometimes it's better to just play safe instead of doing the big thing. Another land. So I'll play out my land now. Now I can potentially hard cast Force of Will, but come on, this is done. I don't think they have anything. Okay, they're fetching. Maybe they have like a Bowmaster. Maybe they have Borrower. They're at 5 life. Now that they're doing this, so if they're going to Doomsday me, this is going to put them to 3 after this loses one of its powers. And I am fine with that because that would put them to 1 life. They can't Street Wraith or anything. But now I will cast Nadu. Here's Nadu. Two life, 4 cards. If they go to 1 life with a Force of Will, they can't Doomsday. If they have Force of Negation, they're on 2 cards, and there's a lot of things that they can't do. That being said, I'm not going to fight over it. I'm going to hold up Force of Will through their next turn. GG's. All right, so this league ended up being a 3-2, which is always fine. I like to try to get trophies. I like to get 4-1s, things like that. But, you know, as long as you're routinely getting 3-2s, that's okay. And the losses were to some matchups that I definitely don't see a lot. A Delver list with Stifles in it, though otherwise a pretty stock list. And Goblins, both 1-2 losses. So for a 3-2, it's not a bad league. Hopefully next time it'll be a little better. But the deck felt good. I was happy to have the 3rd Fairy Macabre over Surgical. It didn't really come up, but I'm just so sick of having my Surgical forced or dazed or something like that against Dimir Reanimator. It just doesn't feel like Surgical is very well positioned. But otherwise, I thought the deck did pretty well. Let's take one last look at it. A lot of cards didn't really see play. I would have loved Force of Negation in that last match, but I just got the job done with the Construct beats. And yeah, pretty nice list overall. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.